hear the sound of the breeze carrying us away. Dust in the rear view, free as a bird. This is our time, no matter what they say. Every mile behind only brought us here. Now the road is clear. Shotgun ride on my Friday night. Sunset fire burning in our eyes. Let's leave the past in the past and deal with it another day. All we got is this open road. No plans, just a cranked up radio. Ain't promising forever, ain't no end in sight. Girl, I'm loving the ride. You know I'm loving the ride. Oh yeah, loving the ride.
Hey guys, welcome back to Minor Details, the podcast where no detail is too minor and the real life moments matter most. I'm your host, Jess Minor. And if you're tuning in on YouTube today, you'll see that I am very laid back and comfortable tonight. I am recording post softball game, came home, took a shower, got in my comfy sweatpants, and I was like, let's hit record. During our softball games lately, I have been going on live on TikTok, and it's been something really fun that the team's really been getting into. And it got me thinking about something that I think would have been good to talk about here on the podcast. The older I get, the less I care about being cringy. And I know that sounds funny to say out loud, but hear me out. I feel like somewhere along the way, we all became so concerned with looking cool. We overthink captions, we delete videos before posting them, we start writing something vulnerable and then completely erase it. And we convince ourselves that nobody cares. Or worse, we convince ourselves that people are going to judge us. What if someone laughs? What if they think I'm annoying? What if they think I'm trying too hard? What if they unfollow me? I don't know about you, but I've asked myself every single one of those questions before. There have been so many times where I recorded something, edited it, watched it back, and then never posted it. Not because I didn't like it, but because I was afraid of what someone else might think. And honestly, I think a lot of us are living like that, not just on social media, but in real life. We're constantly editing ourselves before anyone else has the chance to see us. We're trying so hard to be accepted that we end up hiding the very things that make us who we are. And the older I get, the more exhausting that sounds. Because I've realized something. The people who truly love you are going to celebrate you. And the people who are determined to judge you, they're probably going to do that whether you post or not. So why are we letting fear have so much control? I've started asking myself a different question lately. Instead of asking, what will people think? I've started asking, what if someone needed this? That question has completely changed the way I look at social media. Because yes, social media can be shallow. It can be performative. It can be all about likes and followers if we let it. But it can also be a place where people feel seen, where they find encouragement, where they realize they're not alone, where someone shares a story that sounds a little too familiar, and then suddenly they don't feel so isolated anymore. And that's where my faith comes into all of this. One thing God has been teaching me over and over again is the importance of obedience. Not popularity, not perfection, not having everything figured out, just obedience. There have been so many moments where I genuinely felt like God was placing something on my heart to share. Sometimes it's been about motherhood. Sometimes it's been about grief. Sometimes it's been about friendships, therapy, sobriety, parenting, or simply sharing a lesson that He's been teaching me. And every single time, fear tries to step in. It whispers things like, people are going to think you're oversharing. They're going to think you're dramatic. They're going to think that you're trying to be an influencer. They're going to think you're cringy. And maybe some people do. But I've realized something. I'd rather be obedient than be approved because I don't actually know what God is going to do with something I'm willing to share. I don't know who's scrolling that day. I don't know who's praying for encouragement. I don't know who's wondering if anyone else has ever felt the way they do. I don't know who might hear one sentence that changes the way they look at their situation. And if I let fear keep me quiet, maybe I miss the opportunity to encourage someone God placed in my path. Now, I do want to say something very important. I don't think every single part of our lives belongs on the internet. Privacy is healthy, boundaries are healthy, discernment is healthy. Not everything is meant to be public, but fear shouldn't be the reason we stay silent. There's a big difference between choosing privacy because it's wise and choosing silence because we're afraid of judgment. And I think we've become so careful about protecting our image that we've forgotten how powerful authenticity really is. Think about your favorite creators, your favorite podcasts, your favorite people you follow. It's probably not because they're perfect, right? It's because they're real. They're willing to laugh at themselves. They're willing to admit when life is hard. They're willing to celebrate little victories. And they're willing to be human. And that's what people connect with. Not perfection, authenticity. Before we wrap up today's episode, it's time for today's minor detail. And if you've been following me on social media lately, you've probably noticed my Nothing to Wear Diaries series. And if I'm being honest, there was a little part of me that almost didn't post the first one. I remember thinking, is this silly? Does anyone actually care what I'm wearing? Am I too old to be making transition videos on TikTok? What if people think I'm embarrassing? And I almost talked myself out of it before I even gave it a chance. But then I realized something. It wasn't really about the outfit. It was about creativity. It was about having fun. It was about sharing something that genuinely made me smile. And I thought, if someone else enjoys it too, that's just a bonus. And the funny thing is, those videos have connected me with so many people. People have messaged me saying they love seeing realistic outfits. They've told me they finally feel inspired to wear what they already own. Some have even started sharing their own outfit videos because they realized they didn't have to be perfect. Now, had I listened to fear, I would have missed every single one of those connections. And honestly, that's become one of the biggest reminders in my own life that you never really know what's on the other side of your obedience. You know what's funny? We talk about being scared to post online like it's just social media anxiety. But actually, I think it's deeper than that. I think sometimes we're afraid to be fully seen because when people see our passions, our faith, our creativity, our joy, our struggles, they also have the opportunity to reject us. And rejection hurts. But here's what I've learned. I'd rather be rejected for being authentic than accepted for pretending to be someone I'm not. Life is too short to spend it trying to look cool for people who aren't living your life. I'd much rather be remembered as someone who showed up honestly, someone who shared her story, someone who encouraged people, someone who pointed people back to Jesus. So, if you've been sitting on the post, the video, the business idea, the podcast, the testimony, the creative project, or simply something that brings you joy, this is your reminder. Post it anyway. Share it anyway. Create it anyway. Trust God with the outcome. The internet doesn't need another perfectly curated highlight reel. It needs more people willing to be honest, more people willing to encourage, more people willing to say, me too. Maybe the next thing God is asking you to do isn't something huge. Maybe it's just posting the video, sending the text, starting the business, recording the podcast, sharing your testimony, encouraging someone. Because obedience doesn't always look like standing on a stage. Sometimes obedience looks like hitting post. And you never know whose life God might touch because you chose courage over comfort. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. If this episode encouraged you in any way, I would love it if you shared it with someone who might need this reminder too. Remember, your story matters, your voice matters, and sometimes the little things we almost keep to ourselves are exactly what someone else needed to hear. Until next time, this has been Minor Details, where no detail is too minor and the real life moments matter most. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.